Welcome to the Daily Dose of Derm podcast, your go-to podcast for all things dermatology. I'm Dr. Mohiba Tureen, a board-certified dermatologist and the founder of Tureen Dermatology. Join us as we dive into the fascinating world of skincare, beauty, dermatologic treatment, and how to enter the world of derm. Whether you're a skincare enthusiast or an aspiring medical professional, this podcast is your daily dose of knowledge and inspiration. Get ready to uncover the secrets to healthy skin and discover how to make a meaningful impact in the field.
Hi, welcome back to the Daily Dose of Derm. My name is Natalie Bohr, and I'm hosting our new series today, all about talking to female entrepreneurs, female professionals, and how we balance work, life, children, all of it. How do we do it all? And today I'm so thrilled to be with one of my favorite people, really one of my favorite people on the planet.
Same.
Bria Brandts. Welcome,
Hello.
Bria.
Thank you. I am honored to be here. I'm so excited.
We are so happy to have you. So Bria she's a powerhouse in her career, and she's going to catch everybody up on her career journey and how she got to where she is today. You have an awesome story, and I want everybody to tune into what you have to tell us. So let's start with your career journey. Tell us about where you started. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. You don't want life story, start from birth.
Well, you could
be here for about
there.
24 days. So I grew up in a small town, St. James. It's about 40 minutes south of Mankato.
Okay.
And grew up on a pig farm.
A pig farm?
Pig farm, yeah. So, I think my dad now has like 40,000 pigs.
No way.
So my chores, you guys, growing up were like cleaning out pig trailers. And
no way.
Like, I was like 10 miles out of town, and all my friends were like, working at Dairy Queen. And I was cleaning out pig barns and trailers. So that was kind of my childhood.
You were cutting your teeth in the dirt and pig stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was my childhood. I went to Mankato for school. MSU.
Mavericks.
Go Mavs.
Go Mavs.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did like a communication major, and I knew that I loved talking and I loved people, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll do communication major. And then I got to my sophomore year, and I'm like, I got to figure out, I should figure out what I want to actually do.
Yeah.
So I always loved sports, and I always loved media and things like that. And so I thought sideline reporting would be so cool. Erin Andrews was like my goal in life.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to be her. I was
who didn't?
I know.
We grew up in the same era of sideline reporting, and as a woman, she was like the person to be for sideline reporting, and she still kind of is.
Yeah, no, she is.
Yeah.
So the thing is MSU at the time didn't have a program. I don't even know if they do now. But Bethany Lutheran College, which was like a mile up the road, had a broadcasting major. So I was like, okay, I'll just transfer there. I still have all my little MSU friends, and I started there my sophomore year, and they called it more of like a broadcasting emphasis. So I did all of the like shooting and footage and editing, and then I also did like some sideline reporting for like the teams there,
cool.
Which is a lot harder than you think, honestly.
And
I think so much credit to those people.
Well, I know, and you really have to do your research before you even, because if you're going to interview a player or something, right, you have to know like who they are, what they did in the game, like you have to know something about the sport.
Taking notes.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you have to do it on the fly, right? Yeah. I agree. I have so much appreciation for people in that world.
Yeah. So I did that, and I was about 2 years in. I was doing still communications, some business classes, and then I had a little surprise in my journey. I found out I was pregnant when I was going into my junior year of college.
Oh, wow.
So that was, I was 20 years old, and I was like, holy crap. But I was like, I can still do this. I'm going to still, that's a dream of mine, is to do the sideline reporting. And so graduated college, and I actually went in, I did some internships to kind of bring it back a little bit that summer before my senior year at the local station in Mankato, and did that. And then they brought me in for an interview, and, we got to the end of it, and they were like, your days off are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you will, I don't remember the time, but I think it was like $9 an hour.
Oh my
And I was serving at the time,
Okay,
and I was like, okay, I'm making decent money serving more than that. I was like, I can maybe do that, And then at the time, I think my son was 2 years old, not even.
Yeah.
And so I like left that interview, and I was like, is this really what I want to do? And not that I didn't think I could do it, but in the meantime, when I was still interviewing for some other jobs and for that job, I did apply to Care 11 up in the Twin Cities here.
Yep.
For a sales job. And I had kind of threw myself everywhere to see, what I could do. Yep. And I got in the car from that interview and the local sales manager called me. Like the moment I shut my door and was like, hey, would you like to come in for an interview? And I was like, okay, that might be a sign.
Yeah,
so
of course it was.
I ended up going to the Twin Cities and starting as a sales coordinator at Care 11. Okay. So started there. I did that for about 1.5 years. And I was really just learning the business. Like I didn't know anything about local news, the back end, the sales side of it. I had no idea, but I learned. And then 1.5 years later, I became an account executive.
Yeah.
So
you moved up the ranks.
That has been what I've been doing now for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel like I just talked a lot there.
No. See, she does talk a lot. We did establish that at the start. Yeah. I'm just kidding. So I just have a question because when your son, Nolan, who is now what, 10?
10. Yeah.
Double digits. Yeah. Big deal. Mm-hmm. When you were going through this early part of your career, when he was an infant and then you were getting through school, he was 2 when you were essentially looking at your first job. What was it about that first interview when they were telling you what your days off would be and having a toddler? I mean, I have 2 toddler boys.
Yeah.
What made you say no to that from the sideline perspective? And what went through your mind? Because I think a lot of moms, me included, can kind of empathize with you in that moment. But for people who don't have kids or people who just are curious, like what went through your head when you were in that interview? Yeah. As a really young mom.
Yeah. I knew it would be a grind because I had done a little bit of the research. I had talked to some reporters actually up here and they were like, Bria, you have to kind of start small, like at the Mankato station. And then you usually do a 6 to 12 month there and then you move to another city. And after there, you move to another city and then eventually you can maybe get a gig back in your, local city or whatever. And I really just sat back and asked myself, is this something that I want to do knowing that I'm going to be away from my son all that time? And it's not that I didn't want to do that. I just looked at like what was a priority for me. Yep. I have absolutely no regrets that I decided to not do it.
Because look at you now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's cool because I'm still like in the media, I'm still in the media world. I still work with sports all the time. It's just a different avenue for me. And it makes so much more sense. I have a little bit more stability. I have a typical more 8:30 to 5:30 job. Yep. And I got the weekends off. And to me, that was just more important for me at that time. And
a little more consistency.
A little bit more consistency too.
Sort of a method to the madness, right?
And I'll be honest with you too, the financial aspect of it was a little scary. Like there was during that time, I had a lot of support where I could be like, Mom, Dad, can you watch Nolan while you go do this or whatever? But financially, I mean, you guys, truly, I had like $10 in my bank account during this time. Like graduated college, it was scary, and I almost get a little emotional about it because I had nothing, and it was like so this was just more of a stability role for me, and
absolutely,
I'm so glad.
Well, you went on the right path, and quite clearly, you will learn through this conversation how successful Bria has become in such a short span of time, right? In just about a decade of time in your career, you've gone from like 0 to 60. I mean, do you want to tell everybody where you're at now?
Yeah. So, I was at the Care 11 for 7 years, and now I'm at Fox 9. Yep. I've been there for 3 years.
I think it's always so interesting to hear about like what's your day-to-day like. Yeah. How do you manage it with Nolan? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to tell people where you live, but I mean,
I will tell
about
you
your name, address. Is she single? Is she not single?
Yeah.
No, but I think that let's just talk about it. Let's see, like, what do you do every day?
Yeah. Well, I do have to prioritize my day a little bit because if anybody that has kids, especially with youth sports, that takes over your life.
What does he do for sports?
He does tackle football.
Okay.
He does basketball. A lot of basketball, like AU, camps, travel. Whoa. I mean, it's like a 4-day a week. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Maybe we talk about that. But, he's busy with that. And then I do have a stepdaughter now, which we don't need to get into all the details, but now she's doing soccer, a lot of different activities too. So we are busy. So I do have to really prioritize the day. I have to like sit down and be like, what are the top 3 things that are the most important?
Yep.
And then obviously tackle those, whether that's kids or work.
So but on the weekend, do you guys plan Like, do you take a look at your week in advance?
Oh, yeah. I have a calendar on the fridge, like right where I get water.
A written calendar or
it's
digital?
like a little magnet one that you put on the fridge. You guys, I'll send you the link. So I have it there. So, because I'm at the fridge like 45 times a day, so I can't miss anything, right? And then I have one at my desk, just like a written calendar at my desk. And then I have my work calendar. And then I have a Gmail, just because there's just so much going on. But yeah, my day to day, I usually am up pretty early. I do
Are
a
you
lot
like a before 6 person, or?
6 o'clock is usually I'm up by then, but some mornings, I mean, I have to start working at 5:30.
Yeah.
And so I personally like to start early because I can get some of that stuff done, that admin stuff done, where then nobody, is really distracting you throughout the day.
Yes.
And then usually by about 7, I'm getting Nolan and Hallie up, and then, we kind of do our morning routine there, and then they're off to the bus and I go to work. I do love mornings. That's kind of, I feel like, my favorite time of day. I'm more of a morning person.
Okay.
But then, once the kids go to school, typically the days, it can be very different, but I'm at the office 3 days a week, and I am meeting with all sorts of businesses. So dermatologists, I've got HVAC and plumbing, I've got lawyers. I was at 3 auto dealers before this morning that I was meeting with.
Already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just drop in on those guys. They're tough.
And so,
they're tough. I get a little nervous every time I go in there, I'll be honest. But so I meet with all these different businesses and I help them with their advertising. TV station, you see the news, right? But on the back end, there's a sales team that helps kind of place all those commercials. Yeah. So that's what I do. I work with those businesses.
You probably have a set of clients that you take care of very well. Like, undoubtedly, anybody who would work with Bria would be so well taken care of. And then you probably have a network of potential new clients that you try to work with as well to reach out to them to offer opportunities. And which do you like better? Do you like taking care of your current clients, or do you like a mix of both?
I do like a mix of both. Okay. It's really fun to nurture the relationships that you already have. Yeah. And it's always great too when, people are like, Bria, we're up, 25% year over year. And that's a lot to what you've done. It's very fulfilling. Yes. And that really fuels my drive too when I have those conversations. But meeting a new business, whether it's a brand new company that just wants to get their name out, or somebody who might be struggling, whatever it is, I love to meet with new companies. And it's about 50-50. And I do have some national companies that I work with too, agencies. So, I mean, there are so many different, people I'm talking to every day. So it's really fun.
And you're good. We know you're good at talking, but we know you're even better at talking to people and working with people. I feel like you landed the right career for yourself. Not to say that we'll talk about your future, but not to say that you wouldn't be a sideline reporter.
You never know.
You never know. I mean, you're a beauty. I feel like you would just be so good.
No, I probably need to stay here and get some support before I leave. It's getting a little loose up there. And some lip filler. No, I'm not done that part. We'll talk about that. I definitely want to do that. But
so I'll throw out kind of a scenario in here as a mom, as a very busy working mom, and
the best mom at that.
You are the best.
You are literally my idol.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I should be interviewing you.
Oh, please.
No, I mean it. Seriously.
Are you kidding me?
No, I mean that. I really look up to you.
Blush. Yeah. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh, she's the nicest person on the planet. Okay, so kids get sick. You've got meetings lined up. Like, let's just talk about the balance of life with kids.
Yeah.
And young kids, because I know from my perspective going into the fall, I'm always like,
it's that time of year. I know. It's inevitable. It's coming.
Yeah, my boys are like 2 days in, they both come home with something. I'm like, why? You've been there for 2 days.
2 hours.
For 2 hours, you're sick?
Yeah.
And I know it's sort of part of life, but what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's life. It's going to happen. I think depending on who you work for, just that open communication of like, kids are sick. Most of the time, hopefully, your manager, whoever, is going to say, okay, stay home. And with the whole pandemic, one of the great things is I do have a hybrid. So usually when that happens, I can stay home and sometimes still work depending on how sick your kids may be.
Yeah.
But that's just a part of balancing being a mom and working. That's just, and it always is when you have like a huge meeting or something and it pops up
is that
every single time. And then you just have to communicate with your people too and just say, hey, this is what's going on. I've never really felt like anyone's been like, okay, really, Bria, you know what I mean? Most of the time people are very understanding, but I mean, how do you handle that? You're in a very similar situation as me.
Same thing. I mean, here we have an amazing company, and our owner, Dr. Tareen, who she's
love
awesome.
her.
5 kids and started this empire of dermatology. I mean, if anybody understands what it means to be a working mom, it's her.
Yeah.
And so I really have looked at her as like this role model for me of, she's always said, like, you can do anything, Nat. And I think she puts that on all of our employees that are moms here that are wanting to have these great careers.
Yeah.
That you can do both, but so
Absolutely.
understanding of when kids are sick, or like, I'll just as an example, last winter my son had his tonsils removed, and that's not like a one night thing.
Right.
It's extra time off, and I think we have great benefits here. We have enough PTO to plan for things like this. Like they're very understanding, and which is awesome. I mean, I think that when COVID came, which nobody loved COVID, it was a kind of an awful time for a lot of people. Yeah. I think companies got used to becoming more flexible with this work from home deal, don't you think?
Oh, I totally agree.
And so I just remember, I'm sure you did too, because you were on all these Zoom calls. Probably. Like,
I could tell you stories.
Kids in the background, like we had on the Zoom call, and so I think that people became a little bit, and not that they weren't tolerant, but don't you agree? Like, people just became more understanding. I think life with kids while you're working, and especially for women. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'll never forget the COVID days too. Just a side note, I think I Venmo'd Nolan's kindergarten teacher like $50 every week. I'm like, I'm so sorry. They were just, you know what I mean? It was just like crazy. But then on the other hand, you're trying to work too, and it's like, it was hard. But I do think the benefit is now there is that hybrid, and people, it's more important. I mean, I do remember before COVID, it was like I dropped Nolan off at 7:30, get to work at 8, and then would leave at 5:30, get home at 6, and then dinner in bed. And I used to just hate that. It was like my quality of life of that whole balance was just totally skewed on the other end. And then it was the weekend, and we try to do so much and to try to make up for that. And so the benefit of COVID was totally being able to kind of have a little bit of that at home. And even if you were on a meeting, then you could hop off and maybe have lunch together or whatever it was. So in hindsight, that was a positive.
I just remember my oldest was born in 2020, August of 2020.
That's right.
And I remember I was actually on a Zoom call, and it was like, I don't know, he was old. He was like 6 months. I was still nursing, and he was like supposed to be napping while I was on a call, and he wasn't. That's just, he wasn't. Right. And so I ended up having to like turn my screen off and nurse him while I was on the call, because I was like, it's the only way I get him to be quiet.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were fine with it, or did you even say anything?
I just went dark. I was just like, there goes the screen. I'm still here.
Yeah.
But
you gotta do what you gotta do.
That is such a good point. You just do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Some days are hard.
Yeah. No, they are. I've had many of them.
Yes. I think there's something to be said about just understanding the daily balancing act.
Yep.
I mean, it really is a balance. There's days that I've been in tears. I'm sure you have throughout the years of being a mom.
Absolutely. I know.
Like, well, it happens.
And there is that like guilt sometimes too, kind of maybe a little off topic from what you were just saying. It's like you have that guilt of you love what you do, and it's self-fulfilling. Yep. And then you put a lot into that, and then you kind of feel like, oh shoot, I'm not putting enough into my kids or my children.
That's such a good point.
And then you maybe are doing you try to, okay, now I'm on the other end and I'm doing this. I'm like, oh shoot, well in my job I'm very commissioned and book a business or whatever. And so the hardest thing for me over the last almost decade is learning to be able to build a book of business, but also be able to build up my family at the same time. And it's not always easy. Every week is hard, but you just learn to kind of accept it. And
well, don't you remember, you probably got this question when Nolan was little, is like today at school drop off, Cal, my oldest, was like, Mom, why do you have to go to work today? Like, can't you come pick us up later? And I think it's, you kind of like pulls on your heartstrings, but also you want Nolan to see that you're a hardworking mom.
Absolutely.
Right? It's such an important part of kind of the world now.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And I know my parents too, they worked so hard, and I always really admired them about that. And that doesn't go to say like stay-at-home moms. I mean, I think they have the toughest job of anyone. be honest.
By far.
But it is tough. But you're doing it for the greater good of
Yes.
the whole family too. And I think for me, when I have that really great week at work, or it's very, fulfilling, I've done something great, it's exciting for me to then be able to like, my confidence in who I am as a person seeps into me being a mom too. I feel like just good about myself all around. Yeah. Especially in my career too, like if it's a big sale or whatever, a big deal. Big client. Sometimes I'm like, okay, now we have a little bit of financial freedom to maybe take that trip that we've wanted to take for 2 years. So there's a lot that goes into that. And that's probably not for every career too. But
it comes full circle.
It does come full circle, for sure.
We've talked about this, like life is not about money, but it does offer you some opportunities to do things with your family if you so choose. Yeah. But also in the same breath, I think more importantly, we both agree, because we've talked about it before, is just being able to have the balance and being able to have time with your family and love for your kids and all that stuff is so important.
And then still be able to have time for yourself too.
Girls
like that was exactly
girls
trips.
Girls trips.
I think we should plan one. We've been talking about it.
I know.
We should do a girls trip. But because that's the thing too, is like I'll get through like a week. It'll be like Friday at 5. I'm like, I don't think I've done any exercise in like 3 weeks. And it's like tough. So that's what I'm working on right now, honestly, is that too.
I know, me too. I could probably do a better job of, I'm an early riser too, but I make the mistake a lot of thinking that I just need to get up and the first thing I need to do is do stuff for the kids.
Yep.
In some cases, because I do have a spouse and he would totally support me being, like, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go for a walk. Yeah. Like, I sometimes just don't make that choice.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
So
it's so true.
It is,
right? Yeah, but that's another thing too. It's like, it's great to have the support if you need it, but it is sometimes hard to just delegate it.
Now, is your family still in southern Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay, and so it sounds like you've had support. I think there are a lot of parents, moms that don't have people in town. I mean, we have 2 sets of grandparents in town. Yep. And so we're always pretty much set for babysitting or things come up, or if there are meetings that I can't miss or you can't miss, like you have some lifelines available. Yes. Right?
Oh yes. Well, my parents are 2 hours away and they're amazing too. And Nolan's grandparents are actually in Roseville. But that's a little bit of a drive, and so I do have a lot of like family friends, like a neighbor. I think Nolan, like I know I'd watch yours too. I'm over. But and just having that lifeline, like that is the thing. The support has just been amazing over the years, because there was a time in my life where I was actually, after I took that job at Care 11, I was also serving on like the weeknights and the weekends, just kind of because at the time when you were sales coordinator, I mean it was a beginning, it was an entry level job.
You sort of eat what you kill though, right?
And so then I was still serving, and I felt bad. I was like, hey, me again. You think you could watch the boy for a couple, And so then it got to that point where it was like, then I was having that mom guilt again, where it's like I'm working too much and I'm not. So it all worked out, but shout out to the support systems that are there.
Seriously. And any variation of support system is awesome, whether it's a friend or a colleague or whatever, a parent, a grandparent. Yeah. Sometimes you just have a little desperation.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask for help. That was me. I was like, I got this. I can do that.
You said that to me. Yeah, before.
And I don't really like to ask for help. I just never had. I don't know why I'm wired that way. So, and
a lot of people are wired that way. Yeah, I think when you're used to just being independent and wanting to do things on your own. I mean, where are you at among your siblings in the range?
I'm 4 out of 6.
So you're you're right in the middle.
I'm like smack dab.
I feel like
forgotten about.
This is just, it's not true for everybody, but like second borns and middle children, they have to fight for their right.
Fight for their right.
So I think you get these independent minded kids and people, and they want to just say, I can do it myself.
Yeah. No, 100%.
But look where that's gotten you.
I know. Well, and it has, and it's worked out, but there are times where it's like, okay, you're doing too much, and then you spread yourself too thin. You're not good at work, you're not good at home, and so it goes to your point, just it's okay to not always chaos. Have everything control. That's like my middle name. But so
okay, so let's talk about Like, what are some of the habits and techniques that you have that you would think that are like have been game changers for you over the last couple of years?
Sure.
Like any techniques or habits that you could share with people listening on like, this really works for me?
Yeah. Well, I have my 7 calendars. That helps. Seriously. And even then, sometimes I'll be honest, I've got the 7 calendars, I still miss something, and I'm just like, I'm like throwing up, I'm like getting like screeching into the parking lot at Nolan's basketball, like, sorry, we're 20 minutes late. Nolan's embarrassed, so mad at me. But I have the calendars right, but I do kind of look at the day. I do look at the week before, but I look at the day, and I mentioned maybe this earlier, is prioritizing what's the most important. Like, Nolan has a football game at 5:30. That means I probably should block off an hour before that so I can get home and whatever. It's just kind of looking at the day, prioritize and organize. The 2 things that I would...
Do you like write everything down?
I write everything down.
Okay.
And I actually do, I like tell my phone, like, set a reminder for da-da-da-da. I just quickly tell it, and it sends me a little text message. I do that for the bus stop too, because sometimes I forget to go to the bus stop.
Do you and your partner, do you guys share a calendar?
Yep.
Okay. And like on
calendar.
your phone, or I don't know about you, but this is like a game changer for me and Casey, is we have a shared calendar on our phone.
Yep.
That any update or change, we both can see it.
Yep. Yeah, we have that too. Yeah, I mean, what are you doing? You have 7 calendars too?
Well, we use Google Calendar. I have my journal one for me for work only. Yep. And then we have a calendar on the refrigerator.
Oh, you do too? Seriously though,
my kids like that too, because they're like, Mama, what day is it? And then we talk about what we're doing. And neither of them can read yet, so they're like, well, they don't know anything. They probably think it's cool. So, just to kind of see what's going on. Yeah. And then another thing I do, and this is kind of cheesy, but in the morning, I like to go outside. You guys, this is cheesy, and I know not everyone's going to do this, but I will sit outside and put the sun in my face, and I'll put on some like meditation music from Spotify, Apple, and you just close your eyes, and you try to do it before 9 a.m. because there's some science behind this. I don't know where I got this from. But I believe that the sun is just like energy, and I don't think about anything work related or mom related, and it's like 5 minutes. Listening, write this down as an
seriously
idea. This is amazing.
And I'd like to do it outside in the sun, but obviously, we live in Minnesota here. We got about 3 months of that, but you can do it inside too.
Light, right, is what you're looking for. Like, you can do it in front of a window. You can do it out on a porch or whatever.
In the window too. So
great idea.
And another thing for me too, and this is hard with the schedule sometimes, is a 30-minute walk, or even if it's a 10-minute walk around the block.
Yes,
life changing. Just to kind of stay active too, because I mean, you could when you're at your desk, all of a sudden you've been sitting there for 4 hours. It's like you're not. You need to take that little mental break. So I do that throughout the day as well.
That is an awesome. I feel like that's like a secret trick.
Yeah, seriously, try it, and you guys will see. You'll feel relaxed and a little bit calm. And
tomorrow. Yeah,
do some breathing while you're doing it. I do set the boundaries. I've had to set the boundaries with work and being a mom, or just working stuff. Saying no. I do tell myself after usually 5:30 every day, I'm done working. I'm done. Yeah. And if I have to plug back in at 9:30, right. I gotta call from 9:31, and I'll always take it if it's you. And so I do. Sometimes I have to plug back in when the kids go to bed, and at least I'm not taking that time away from them too, because there's been an issue sometime where Nolan would come into my office and I'd be 6, 7 o'clock at night. Yeah. And that's not fair to him. And we just have such a small window with our kids. And
I know, they grow so fast.
And he's still at the point where he like wants to hang out with me. And I want to just take that all in, because I know it's coming, where I'm a cringe. No. I'm a cringe. I am cringy. I am a cringe. Well, I could say some other things. Yeah. Skibbity Ohio Riz. Have you heard that one?
No. What?
Yeah. Riz means like you're cool, charismatic.
Here we go again. Yeah. This is where
I have gotten that I'm Rizzy every now and then. Like, I will wear an outfit and he'll be like, "Oh, that's got some Riz," and I'm like, "Ooh, okay." Yeah. But so I'm still cool right now.
You're a cool mom.
So I'm trying to take that all in, and I know my time is coming. But
where he's gonna be like, whatever, Mom.
Yeah. Just bring me to practice and drop me off.
Can you drop me off a block away?
A block away. I can't be seen with you. Exactly. But that's fine. That's all a part of being a mom, is you take those stages when they come, and you appreciate them when you got them. And so that's why you got to set the boundary sometimes.
I think that's really important.
Your job shouldn't be your life. It should never,
be staring at your phone. While you're with your kids. And,
Yep. So,
I think that is hard for people, especially with like social media. And I talked to some other parents that, have had to like put those timers on their phones for social media to like cut them off.
I have that for TikTok.
Because it's just part of the doom scrolling is so bad for you. And when you're in the parent role and you're working, it's like, okay, let's just shut the brain off from work and from doom scrolling social media. Whether it's with your kids or not, it's good to kind of cut those things off for your own mental health.
I know. Well, and I'll get that little, what is that little summary every Sunday where it's like, you spent X amount of time
on social media.
That has been,
and then add that number up over a course of a year. What a waste of time.
And then you think, I could have done so much time with and that's the guilt thing, know. And so, but I've been better at that too. And give ourselves a little grace, right? But
and it's hard.
It's this day and age that we live in too.
I was just
a lot
saying,
going on always.
To Dr. Treen's husband Bosser here, we were in our board meeting here with our team, and we kind of all went around the room and talked about kind of highs and lows and things and what's going on, and we were talking about bedtime and like what time you go to bed and what time you get up and how much sleep you got as a parent. He has 5 kids with Dr. Treen, and some people do really well with a short amount of sleep, and some people have to be like in bed by 9.
Yeah.
But here's my problem is that I get my kids down to bed. I feel like I'm exhausted from the 2-hour bedtime routine.
Yeah, right.
At least that's the phase I'm in right now. Yep. Anybody with toddlers will understand that.
Yep.
You remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't erase that from your brain. But then it's like you have this short window of time to kind of do what you want. But then sometimes I'm either like stuck doing emails or stuck on my phone. And it's not that anybody's telling me to do those things. It's just a habit to break.
Yeah.
Right? No, I really hear you on the setting the boundaries thing. It's really super important.
Yeah. Well, we wear just so many, as moms, we wear so many hats all the time. But sometimes you just got to take all those off and just be you and just, try to take that time for yourself because, like we said earlier, if you've got too much going on, you're not going to be the best version of you. You got to say no sometimes.
Well, if you're running on empty, right? Then you're like you said, you're not going to be doing anything well. If you're running on empty across the board, nothing's really going to be even close to good. Let's talk about kind of your future for your career.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're really happy where you're at.
Yep.
You love your job. I can feel and see that you love your job. You're so good at it. I think you could sell me like earrings made of I don't know what.
I'm trying to think of something. What are they like? Ice to an Eskimo or popsicle?
You could sell me anything.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate.
But you're honest and you have integrity, and I think you've built yourself a reputation where people know you that way across the industry.
Thank you.
In my role, I talk to a lot of networks, and everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows like how good you are at your job, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I wish I could be like Bria."
Oh,
and so I think when you think about future Bria, in your career, balancing life as a mom, do you want to have more kids? Do you want to be, like, what do you see career in life?
Yeah, it's funny because, and we didn't talk. So I was single for most of my 20s. I'm 32 now. And
so you're a single mom.
I was a single mom for honestly most of my 20s. Actually, and there was maybe a little fling here and there, but and so
we know. I know.
Natalie knows my dating history.
We don't have to talk about that on this episode.
But so I don't know if I want to have more kids. I am in a relationship in the last year, and we both have a 10 and 11-year-old. So it's like this really
world's
like the world.
Right,
it's awesome. I could just cry. I love that man so much and his daughter. So we're at this place where it's like we have 2 kids. We could just be done. And and then they go off to college or whatever. But I think, God willing, maybe we'll have more kids. We'll see. I definitely am not ruling that out.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we both want to do. So we'll see. But career-wise, I am kind of like a marketing consultant on my own. Yeah. And, I've had some really great managers and mentors who've really stretched me and taught me so many things because I'm a natural people pleaser. And sometimes that does not get me where I need to be. So I've learned a ton, and I would love to be able to be that person for somebody else. And so when the time is right, I would love to manage people, whether it's at my current role, at a local TV
really
station or another organization. We'll see. But I've always said I want to be able to help people and to coach them and to see them.
You'd be such a good mentor for young women too, because of everything that you've been through in your life. It's so unique, right? We all have our own stories, but to have had a baby at 19? 21. At 21, to go through that, to have $10 to your name, to figure it out.
Yeah.
Knowing you had an awesome family, but still having that motivation to say, I can do this, I can do this on my own.
Yep.
I full-heartedly feel that you could do anything.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You are, and you can be such a good mentor for young women.
Yeah. And you know what? I think anyone can do that. You know, it's hard. Obviously, the support is great, but you can, you know, and it's not always easy. It's not pretty.
Do you have advice for maybe a mom listening that's kind of going through the same thing that you did, or somebody who's like trying to get into broadcast, or any advice from a working mom perspective that you might have for people listening?
Yeah. I would tell anyone to just try. I know that sounds really cheesy and vague, but just try. Try to see if you can do the broadcasting. Throw yourself out there. Yeah. Try something new. Find a network of women or other people that you can talk to and that they can help support you. Because my journey was, I did try that, and you know, or I looked into that and it wasn't for me, but I landed somewhere else. And so you just kind of have to put yourself out there and really give yourself grace when something might not work out. We do the absolute best we can every day, and so just continue to put yourself first. And you know, I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling now at this point, but you can do it.
Rambling.
You can do it.
You can do it.
So
you can do it.
You can do it. I feel like we've actually been pretty good. I feel like we've been pretty mature.
We've been pretty
mature. This is so not us.
This is a big deal.
If you guys saw us off the mics, we were dangerous.
We're immature mothers.
Immature mothers. And that's okay.
That's okay too. It's okay to have fun.
Yeah.
It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be the imperfect person on the other end of life.
I'll be honest with you guys. When I get a night out with my girlfriends, I am
let her rip, girl.
I am on those bars dancing. I'm having fun, and you can do it all. You can be a mom that goes out and gets buck wild with her friends, or you can not be that person. You can you can do it all. And that's, I think, the awesome thing about just woman is that we can do it all, and nobody can stop us. So
nobody for sure can stop you.
Well,
you're on the path of success.
Oh, thanks.
It's like when you become this like super famous person, just remember the little people like me
stop
on the
it.
other end.
No, that's not true. That's you, if anything. Seriously.
Maybe it'll be both of us.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wish you would have known before becoming a working mom? I mean, because your path was a little bit more unique than anything you wish you would have known before? Or are you happy to just kind of have organically gone through it?
I mean, there were so many obstacles. You just kind of have to keep going. It's not always a smooth ride.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's been a lot of bumps in my journey.
Yeah.
And not even just with work, it's with relationships, and a lot of things have set me back. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not alone. You know, you have a great support system.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you guys, ask for help. It's okay. People are there for you. Keep on going. Have confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you aren't confident about something, just keep putting yourself out there.
This may ring true to you because when you've mentioned that you grew up on a farm, my dad always used to tell me this, because you know, there are a lot of pigs and poop that you were dealing with.
Yep.
If you throw enough up on the wall, something will stick.
That's right. So true. That's good.
It's good.
But it is so true.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And just because even if you thought you were going to go one way in life and you go another, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
So
it's all good.
Your kids aren't going to be mad. They're going to love you for exactly who you are. So
yes. And that's why kids are awesome. And you really have inspired, I think, a lot of people listening. You inspire me every day. And thanks everybody for tuning into this episode. We'll have more coming up on just this grind of balancing, but with a smile, balancing life and family and kids and, growing your career. Yeah. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You're the best.
Appreciate it. This was awesome.
This is the Daily Dose of Derm. You can follow, like, and share this episode with anybody that you would love to hear it. And stay curious and stay inspired.